Assalamu alaikum, I'm Aisha and you're watching Samaa News. Here are today's headlines. The World Economic Forum's 2026 annual meeting has closed in the Swiss alpine town of Davos. The 5-day forum brought together around 3,000 leaders and experts from 130 countries and regions. Held under the theme, A Spirit of Dialogue, discussions focused on cooperation, growth, innovation and sustainable prosperity. A British minister has said that US President Donald Trump's comments that NATO troops stayed off the front line in Afghanistan were deeply disappointing, noting that many European soldiers had died supporting American-led operations. Junior Minister Stephen Kinnock told Sky News, many British soldiers and many soldiers from other European NATO allies gave their lives in support of American-led missions in places like Afghanistan and Iraq. He added that anybody who seeks to criticise what forces did and the sacrifices that they made is plainly wrong. On the other hand, Trump has withdrawn an invitation for Canada to join his Board of Peace initiative aimed at resolving global conflicts. Trump's about-face follows Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney's speech at the World Economic Forum in Davos, where he openly decried powerful nations using economic integration as weapons and tariffs as leverage. US President Donald Trump has said that the United States has an armada heading toward Iran, but hoped he would not have to use it, as he renewed warnings to Tehran against killing protesters or restarting its nuclear program. US officials say the aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln and several guided missile destroyers will arrive in the Middle East in the coming days. One official said additional air defense systems were also being eyed for the Middle East, which could be critical to guard against any Iranian strike on US bases in the region. In response, an influential Iranian cleric has warned that US-linked investments across the region could be targeted if Washington attacks Iran. Mohammed Javad Haj Ali Akbari said the $1 trillion the US has invested in the region was under the watch of Iranian missiles. However, he did not specify which investments he was referring to. Separately, Iran's top prosecutor, Mohammad Movahedi, denied reports that Iran had halted around 800 executions linked to recent protests, as the United Nations discusses the crackdown. As this unfolds, UN Rights Chief High Commissioner Volker Turk has urged Iran to end what he called brutal repression of protests, speaking at an emergency session of the Human Rights Council in Geneva. Rights groups say thousands, including bystanders, were killed in recent unrest. Iran rejected the session as illegitimate, while Western states backed extending a UN investigation into alleged abuses. Meanwhile, Iran has made it clear that UN nuclear inspectors will not be allowed to visit sites hit in US and Israeli strikes unless the watchdog clarifies its position. Iran's atomic chief, Mohammad Eslami, accused the IAEA of bowing to Washington and Israel, saying inspections have been limited to undamaged facilities. Vietnam's top leader, Tu Lam, has been reappointed as head of the ruling Communist Party for the next 5 years, after a unanimous vote by its Central Committee, as he pledged to turbocharge growth in the export-reliant nation. In the one-party state, Lam was re-elected to Vietnam's most powerful job by all 180 party officials from a newly formed committee at the end of a congress held every 5 years to set key targets and make leadership decisions. Uganda's military chief has said that authorities detained 2,000 opposition supporters, killed 30, and were hunting for more following a disputed presidential election in which his father, Yoweri Museveni, won a 7th term. In a series of overnight social media posts, the military chief, Museveni's son, gave the first details of the arrests and killings of NUP supporters, describing them as hooligans and terrorists. He said so far the military has killed 30 NUP terrorists, without explaining the circumstances of the deaths. US brokered talks between Ukraine and Russia have begun in Abu Dhabi and will continue for 2 days. According to the UAE Foreign Ministry, both sides have made it clear that territorial issues are central, with Moscow demanding Ukraine surrender the Donbass. President Volodymyr Zelensky says Kyiv will not give up land Russia has failed to capture in 4 years of grinding attritional warfare. 9 members of the same family were killed when an avalanche buried their home in Lower Chitral after heavy snowfall. Officials said 5 women were among the dead, while an injured child was rescued alive. The incident comes as severe winter weather disrupts northern Pakistan, with authorities warning of further avalanche risks. TikTok's Chinese owner ByteDance says it has finalized a deal to establish a majority American-owned joint venture that will secure US data to avoid a US ban on the short video app used by over 200 million Americans. ByteDance said TikTok US-DS Joint Venture LLC will secure US user data, apps and algorithms through data privacy and cybersecurity measures. The deal is a milestone for the social media firm after years of battles that began in August 2020 when President Donald Trump tried to ban the app over national security concerns. And Italian fashion icon Valentino was laid to rest in Rome as the global fashion elite gathered to say goodbye. Mourners in black, accented with Valentino red, filled a historic basilica designed by Michelangelo. His longtime partner, Giancarlo Giametti, praised a life devoted to beauty, creativity, and shared dreams. That's all for now. For more updates, visit www.samaa.tv. Thank you for watching Samaa News.